I grew up in a Baptist church that was functioning with many great Sunday school classes, and I personally loved my Sunday school class. Our Sunday school classes had strong curriculum and Bible studies that I would still recommend to many young people today. I learned every week with girls my age as we were walking through the same seasons of life. Our Sunday school classes were teacher-led and usually more lecture-focused than discussion-focused. I personally loved and learned in my Sunday school classes, and I would highly recommend it to anybody that is young. Our Sunday school classes obviously met on Sundays. We met each week before the main sermon. So we saw people in a small group setting on Sundays, but we would not see them throughout the week, which I think is one con to Sunday school. Unless you did extra activities that were maybe offered in your church, such as youth group, Awana, or something else. Sunday schools are very effective, especially for families with many children, as it is easy for parents as they are already going to church, and it's almost impossible to get your children to small groups throughout the week. So I think Sunday schools are very valuable when you're younger, because it's, again, too hard to go to small groups throughout the week as you're too young to drive and you're busy with extracurricular activities such as sports. And I also think it's something to think about that many young people are not believers yet, and I think that small groups are very focused and built for believers. So as I've gotten older, I think that small groups are something that are more effective than Sunday schools, although I do think that Sunday school is very needed and very good for those in high school and younger. But I do think that it's more beneficial to do small groups once you're out of high school, for there's that need for intentionality and accountability. One benefit that I find greatly important is that small groups typically do not meet on Sundays. It's additional to the Sunday regimen of going and serving in your church and having small groups there or Sunday schools there, or doing whatever you do, such as prayer rooms, etc. In small groups, you typically talk about the sermon, which fights the temptation to hear the sermon on Sundays and then walk away and not think about it again. Small groups are designed to take things deeper and to focus on application. In a small group setting, there's typically no set curriculum. You either talk about the sermon and its application, or you talk about different passages of the Bible, you spend time confessing sin, or sometimes you even have game nights with your friends. The leader typically chooses whatever is most pertinent to the group at that time. It can change from week to week, month to month, year to year, or as the group may change in members. The leader is usually effective in choosing what is good and right for the group at this time because they know their small group well. Another thing that I find is one of the most important things is that there's a mix of ages, seasons of life, and genders. Small groups are made for men and women alike, and it's for married couples, for singles, for people with children or without children. You can be taught by those that are older and ahead of you in life, and you can be teaching those that are younger than you. This is your built-in community within your church. This is who you should be confessing sin to. This is who you can encourage and be encouraged by. This is who disciples you, and this is who you should be discipling. This is who you do life with. This is built-in life lessons as just rubbing shoulders with those who are pursuing holiness in different seasons of life, share things, and you just learn things from them by watching them. I will say that my best friend is not from my small group, and even though this is a built-in community, it is not wrong. It is actually healthy to have other believers and friends outside of your community group. I don't think community groups or small groups are created to abandon other believers. There's great variety in these small groups. You usually meet in your home, and you usually rotate around, or in our group, we meet in our leader's home. You're shoulder to shoulder, sitting on the couch with a hot cup of coffee, having intentional conversation on a weekly basis. It's comfortable, it's easy. We study scripture together, and we apply the sermon as the sermon can apply in different ways to each one of us. So we learn as we hear what other people took from that Sunday sermon. You can ask any question because it's a safe place, and nobody's going to judge you for what you ask. You're confessing sin face to face, whether it's one-on-one, or sometimes we've even done it as a group. Some nights we just have game nights and we have fun. We laugh together. We have some reprieve from the mundane and the busyness of life. We do outreach together. Small groups focus on growing in what we're weak in and encouraging in what we're strong in. All of this helps us grow together and learn Christ better together. Community is much deeper and more effective in small groups than in Sunday school. I think everyone 18 or older should be a part of a small group. I think this is how Jesus lived. He did things in groups, whether it was teaching, encouraging, reprimanding, loving, and protecting. He did these things in a small group setting, and he also went into people's homes. Leaders of these small groups are directly under our pastors, and they know their sheep very well as they meet with them one-on-one, they follow up with them on a weekly basis, and they learn us. This is not a theme I saw in Sunday school. Sunday school was more like school. It was lecture-based, and you met once a week on a Sunday, and there was no follow-up. I think small groups reflect Jesus' ministry well, and I think it is greatly effective in many people's lives. I think all churches should do small groups, and I think every member should participate in one. It is far too easy to go to Sunday school and church never asking questions, never confessing sin, and to not have spiritual conversations until the very next Sunday. Small groups are there to fight this. Their purpose screams intentionality. The times together address the heart as we see Jesus do in his earthly ministry. I think it's one of the best ways to pursue holiness, fighting sin and embracing the community that Christ has given us. I think small groups value community, accountability, intentionality, confession, and sanctification as Christ does. And I think that small groups have a great role in the community that Christ has given. And I think it is far more effective than Sunday school, and I think it represents the ministry of Jesus Christ well.